Ladies and gentlemen, we're just about ready to begin our vintage uniform presentation. They weren't earlier. And so I had the fellow that's been working on this, he went back there. He turned it up, and he went back there. Okay? Okay, good. A bit thicker. No, we are. Flight attendants. We enjoy a very close relationship with TWA and its flight attendants and are happy to support both the company and the in-flight staff and aviation in general. We congratulate the New York Port Authority for its contribution to 50 exciting years in transportation. Thank you for inviting us to share in your special celebration. We're honored to share with you a very special part of our history. What we're going to see today is a little bit of the history of aviation as witnessed by the evolution of the TWA Hostess or Flight Attendant uniform. This is a nostalgic trip for those of us who wore these uniforms. We wore them with pride, and from that sense of pride, together with a desire to preserve our history, has come our fabulous uniform collection. Our members have modeled the collection all over the USA and Europe. Let the story begin then. TAT, or Transcontinental Air Transport, inaugurated service on July 7, 1929. The company was composed of an aviation group and the Pennsylvania and Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe railroads. Couriers were hired as flight attendants and were, for the most part, sons of the men who financed TAT. The couriers, however, were terminated in February 1930 in the economic crunch, which hit the airlines after the stock market crash in the fall of 1929. And so from February 1930 until December 1935, the first officers served as attendants. TAT merged with Maddox Airlines in late 1929, then with Western and Standard Airlines in 1930. The name of the airline then became Transcontinental and Western Air. The company inaugurated America's first all-air coast-to-coast passenger service. With an overnight stop in Kansas City, it was possible to go from Newark, New Jersey, to Los Angeles, California in 36 hours. In an effort to upgrade the airline's fleet of Ford trimotors, TWA engineers teamed with the Douglas Aircraft Company to design a new, modern passenger plane. The result was the DC-1, which evolved into the DC-2, and so on. These new aircraft enabled TWA to reduce transcontinental flying time to less than 16 hours. Fourth, Thelma Harmon became a registered nurse. After reading an article announcing that TWA was going to introduce air hostesses on its aircraft, she applied for a position and talked her way into a job interviewing nurses for the first class of TWA hostesses. 23 girls were in that first class, and they were taught by a co-pilot. They graduated on December 6, 1935. TWA was not the first airline to introduce hostesses. United had stewardesses, and like TWA, they were RNs. However, their uniforms were styled like those of nurses, dresses with a cap-like hat and a cape. Our uniforms then begin in the winter of 1936, which saw the introduction of our first uniform we see today. Jackie Wheat and Carol Brandley are modeling the first group of uniforms. The gray winter one is a very firm wool sharkskin in charcoal gray. Notice the single-breasted jacket with the epaulets banded in red on the shoulders. The skirt has a kick pleat and is worn with a red silk blouse. The hat is called an overseas style. There are red and gold wings worn on both the hat and on the jacket. Black bag and tied shoes were worn with the outfit. The summer uniform worn by Carol Brandley was basically the same style as the winter uniform. Now the fabric changed to white wool Bedford cord. The jacket also had epaulets banded with red on the shoulders and the gold metal wings on the breast pocket. Among the instructions in the TWA hostess manual at that time were, carry a railroad timetable just in case the plane is grounded somewhere, and was popularly known as the Petty Girl uniform. The winter outfit was of medium blue Charmine gabardine. The jacket was double-breasted with brass blazer-type buttons embossed with the TWA logo. The blouse was of white silk long sleeve with a bishop neckline and pleated front. It was white Charmine gabardine, double-breasted, and was worn with a pale blue silk blouse. It's really identical to the winter version except for color. The shoes were the white Oxfords. Thank you, Joanna and Debbie. You would have been glamourous petty girls. Incidentally, in 1939, senior hostesses had their pay raised from first pressurized cabin and was the first 4-engine aircraft. In addition, it was equipped with sleeping berths, and flying time from New York to Burbank was now down to 14 hours, 9 minutes. We're gaining. Shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the airline no longer required flight hostesses to be registered nurses, as so many of the nurses were being used in the war effort. The requirements now were to have at least 1 year of college, between heights of 5'2" and 5'5". Weight could not be less than 100 pounds, nor over 125 pounds. The ladies had to be between the ages of 21 and 26, and they had to be single. On July 5, 1945, Transcontinental and Western Air received CAB approval for a round-the-world service. In November of the same year, they received their first Connie made by the Lockheed Corporation. It was emblazoned with a new corporate name, Trans World Airlines. When Lockheed introduced the giant Constellation, Howard Greer, with the help of then Chief Hostess Ida Staggers, who in 1972 became the first flight attendant to actually retire, designed a new uniform. The French designer Christian Dior influenced the design in its creation. The ensembles here are worn by Daphne Anderson and Fran Stack. This uniform was affectionately named the cutout because of the red cutout you see with the TWA logo on the right shoulder. It was worn between 1944 and 1955. Through the years, the hemline rode up and down with changing fashion. The winter uniform was a medium blue gabardine with a fitted single-breasted jacket with covered buttons. It had a navy blue rayon crepe blouse slip with a rounded neck. There was a matching blue hat with a red and blue cockade on which were pinned the new silver wings. After 8 years of sweltering through summer heat, a lighter weight was introduced. A white V-neck blouse slip was worn for the summer weight, and blue and white spectator pumps were the uniform shoes. The hostesses based in Cairo and Bombay were given permission in the height of summer to remove their jackets when off the plane, and they did not have to wear the mandatory girdle and hose. Thank you, Daphne and Fran. During this time, the minimum wage in the
This will serve as the final boarding call. All flight 189 non-stop service to Miami. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you are in possession of a boarding pass ticket, you should be in the final boarding process here at the...
A little more interesting information about TWA and its aircraft. The Super G Constellation was the ultimate in aircraft at this time. We flew a variety of other Constellations built by the Lockheed Company, and we also flew the Martins. The Hostess...
This will be the final call for all passengers holding space on Flight 841 servicing Los Angeles, now in the final boarding process through gate number 31. All passengers with reservations should now be on board. This is a final call. TWA reserves the right to cancel and reuse any unoccupied seats if you fail to board at this time. Final call, Flight 841 Los Angeles, gate 31.
Hostesses trained in Kansas City, and training had now been extended to 5 weeks with a greater emphasis on safety. Upon successful completion of training, we were then set to one of 7 bases. It took about 3 to 4 years of seniority to fly the international routes. Our starting salary had now moved up to $235 to $265 per month, plus expenses away from home. Our maximum flying time was 85 hours per month. When the Lockheed introduced the giant Constellations, Howard Greer, with the help of then... redo that. Its anniversary year, TWA came up with another uniform. Oleg Cassini designed this uniform, and it was keyed for color harmony with the interior of the Constellation. The 2 uniforms modeled today are by Joanna Wheat and Jean Hulkwood. The summer uniform worn by Joanna is a lightweight green wool with a collarless fitted jacket with TWA embroidered on it in red. We wore a white blouse slip, and the shoes were brown and white spectators. There was a clear plastic raincoat available to slip on to run from the ramp office up the steps and on the airplane in bad weather. As you'll recall, we didn't have jetways then. For winter, a brown wool sharkskin ensemble worn by Jean Hulkwood. The jacket has also TWA embroidered in red on the right side. As you can see, the jacket is long and collarless with covered buttons. The skirt is straight and tailored and worn over a white blouse slip. which TWA was imprinted on it as well. A matching hat was worn at all times, and there was a red cockade where the wings were pinned. Accessories for this uniform were brown stiletto-heeled pumps. There was a leather shoulder bag, gloves, and a fiberglass hostess
Ladies
kit.
and gentlemen, this will serve as the final boarding call for all passengers on flight number 843 with non-stop service to San Francisco. All passengers in possession of a valid ticket and boarding card must board the aircraft now through gate number 26. Final boarding call, flight 843 to San Francisco through gate number 26.
Thank you, Joanna and Jean. You look wonderful. Winter and summer version of this uniform. Rachel is wearing the winter two-piece brown wool. It has a loose box jacket with a small, softly turned collar. There were detachable white cuffs worn on the sleeves of the jacket, and the straight skirt has an inverted box pleat in the back. The newly designed gold wings were pinned on the cap-like hat with an up-curling left brim. Jerry Currigan is wearing the summer uniform, and by the way, she is wearing her own original uniform. What a thrill. Not many of us could do that today. The summer uniform was modified slightly. It was a lightweight beige box jacket, collarless, and piped along the edge with the tan color of the skirt. The high-waisted skirt had a kick pleat in the back. The short-sleeved blouse slip was beige with a rounded collar ending in a point.
John Suss, 3727, John Suss, 3727.
Thank you, Rachel and Jerry. You do indeed look very chic and sophisticated.
So final boarding call for passengers on Transworld Airlines Flight 781 with non-stop service to Orlando, boarding after gate number 36. Final boarding call.
Imagine, if you will, dressing 2,400 women alike, and at the same time satisfying each one with a feeling that she's an individual woman. TWA came up with such a uniform when they opted for the French influence again with Paris couturier Pierre Balmain. Jackie is back with us wearing the summer uniform, and Carol is wearing the next summer uniform. The white summer uniform was introduced in 1965 and featured an oyster-colored jacket with the dot and dash motif in turquoise running through the fabric. The turquoise color was picked up in the skirt as well as in the detachable jacket cuffs. The turquoise blouse slip showed the TWA insignia on the collar. We have a new hat called a semi-beret shell with an upturned brim to accommodate the wings. White gloves and black pumps completed the uniform. There was a winter two-piece wool suit in solid turquoise wool fail. And then, once again, TWA recognized that white was not a practical color to use in the uniform, so in the summer of 1966, we introduced a new summer uniform worn by Carol. It was remodeled with the summer jacket as a turquoise tweed box style with a new white blouse slip. The hat was also changed to a pillbox style, which Jackie Kennedy had made so famous. Again, black pumps were worn and a black leather bag was carried. Thank you, Jackie and Carol. Training was now up to 6 weeks, and our training location was in the same facility as the TWA pilot. Traveler. The blue chip dress was worn only on those flights, and it was a polyester white with blue chip dots. It was worn with matching jacket and earrings. Up until 1968, Hostess uniforms were uniform. That is, everyone wore the same uniform in the same way, without variations. In that year, TWA turned to Dalton of America for the individual look in Hostess uniforms. The Dalton collection of uniforms was very bright and colorful. The look was individual. We have 3 models today, Fran wearing one from the winter collection, and Joanna and Bernadette wearing 2 from the summer collection.
Can I call you back later?
The winter collection was a selection of poppy, avocado, or gold.
Oh, that's very good.
Fran is wearing the poppy, and the basic design combined a jacket and dress of multi-ply wool. The striped bodice of the dress features a slightly lowered waistline with an easy-fitting matched belt. The turtleneck dress has stripes which gives way at the waist to a solid color A-line skirt. The typical hat was beginning to disappear. However, the hostess could choose to wear a multi-striped beret to accompany this uniform or a striped headband. The long fringed scarf was worn at all times as part of the uniform and could be arranged in a number of different ways. New hostess wings were designed for this uniform. They were larger, with the wing upturned and worn only on the jacket. Shoes were that brilliant poppy orange leather or alabaster colored knee-high boots. A poppy vinyl purse was carried. There was also a poppy orange cape coat, which was affectionately known as the pumpkin coat. The summer uniforms were as much fun as the winter. The hostesses had a choice of green, navy, or brown.
Josephine Satriano, position number 52.
Joanna is wearing the summer navy and Bernadette the green. The dress itself was the same, but the jacket came in different colors. The top of the dress is white and the skirt has navy, green, and brown large window pane plaid on a white background. White, brown, navy, or green patent shoes or those white patent knee-high boots were worn with a white purse to complete the outfit. A headband to match the skirt was optional. An alabaster Samsonite suitcase was carried. The bags got very dirty during the course of the month, so the hostesses spent much time scrubbing the suitcases with cleanser and then waxing them. Thank you, Fran, Joanna, and Bernadette. Debbie and Carol. Debbie's wearing the beige and Carol in the plum. This uniform that Valentino designed was the first that could be tossed into the washer and hung to drip dry without any wrinkle. After so many years of fabrics like sharkskin, wool gabardine, and blended knits, the Valentino uniform was quite a blessing to have on a long trip because it could be washed on a layover and would be fresh by morning, provided that the layover is long enough. Valentino introduced a dress suit which featured a dress and a short matching jacket. The pantsuit that Debbie is wearing had a tunic top, slacks, and a long jacket. Carol is wearing the safari dress. The hostess could choose to wear the safari dress completely buttoned as a dress or unbutton it to a point just below the waist and wear it over matching slacks or hot pants, which Carol is wearing. Hot pants had become quite trendy at that time. The uniform was available in brown, plum, or beige and featured plum and brown signature scars by Valentino to tie the whole look together. Every item in the collection was embossed with Valentino's V, including the buttons. The shoes and purse were brown, and they were also allowed to wear boots. This was the first uniform with no hat, so many of the hostesses chose to put the scarf in their hair, to tie their hair back. Regulations had become more lax. That mandatory girdle was out. And so were the red shades of lip and nail color. Hair could now be long, but was required to be worn tied back, hence the use of the scarf. Thank you, Carol and Debbie. In 1997, Valentino contacted Clipped Wings to ask if we might donate some of our uniforms. The Valentino era came to an end in 1974 when Stan Herman designed a bright, non-uniform look for Hart, Schaffner, and Mark. TWA had made extensive surveys for the uniform change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Transwater Line Flight 28, National Service to San Juan, Puerto Rico. At this time, gate 24 is now open and available for passengers check-in and seat selection. Buenas tardes, señores pasajeros. Bienvenidos al vuelo de la TWA 28 con destino a la ciudad de San Juan de Puerto Rico. En este momento, la puerta de embarque número 24 está disponible para aquellos pasajeros que deseen verificar sus asientos.
In the survey, it was discovered that half of the women preferred slacks, the other half skirts. With this uniform, a woven blend of Dacron and wool, they had both, and it came in the bold colors of royal blue, gold, and brick. Jerry is wearing the royal blue, Rachel is wearing the gold, and Jean is wearing the brick. The collection has interchangeable pieces and colors to create an individual look. The shirt jacket was softly belted around the waist. The skirt had 2 kick pleats in the front. The slacks were either beige with pinstripes or a solid blue. The outfits were worn with a sweater in matching colors or a bodysuit in beige with a white all-over TWA logo imprint. Caramel-colored shoes and bag were worn. A matching fiberglass suitcase in caramel was also issued. However, many of us continued to use that white Samsonite suitcase, and so we continued to scrub and wax. The scarf was an original TWA design depicting old and new aircraft and used all 3 colors. It looked as good draped around the neck as it did framed and hung on a wall. The male flight attendants were issued with a brown jacket, 1 pair of brown and 1 pair of beige trousers, which they could mix to look like a suit or a sport coat and slacks. They wore white or blue shirts, and red and brown striped ties, and had a blue serving jacket. Thank you, ladies. You look terrific. Is so very similar to the ones that you saw in the 30s. If you'll remember the first uniform you saw today and the current uniform of the flight attendants here in the terminal, you'll notice a great deal of similarity. Ladies, come on back down the stairs so we can see you all together. Now you've seen an evolution of fashion via TWA. We hope you've enjoyed our uniforms through this walk down memory lane. It's been a pleasure to share our collection with you and to share in your celebration. Again, we thank you for inviting us to be with you today. The end.